When I was younger, decluttering seemed simple. If I didn't use something, I got rid of it. But the older I get, the more I realize it's not about stuff anymore. It's about the money that I've spent. It's about the memories that I've attached to things. It's about different seasons of my life. And really, I think that is why it's harder to declutter as we get older. Welcome back. If you're new here, my name is Jen. I'm glad you're here. I've been thinking a lot lately about why decluttering feels differently than it did, say, 20 or 30 years ago. And I don't feel like it's because I've become less organized than I was before. I think the thing is that it's because the older I get, the more and more meaning we put towards these objects that are coming into our lives. Today, I want to talk about why decluttering gets harder as we age and why so many of us struggle with it when all we want is more of a simplified life. One of the most obvious reasons is that stuff is accumulated over time. It's not like we've got all this stuff at one point in time. Over the decades, we've had more time to accumulate things such as, hobbies that we wanted to try, new tools, kitchen gadgets, all kinds of random clothing, decorations for our homes. Those things didn't come in all at once. Those things crept in over the years, over many different seasons of our lives. And I don't remember ever deciding I want to own all of this stuff, but I've lived in this house for about 23 years and things just keep coming in and it just it just accumulates. As we age, our possessions become tied towards experiences. So that coffee mug that you got is not just a coffee mug, it's the coffee mug you got when you were in Mexico. This thing hanging on the wall was something that you got from your parents when you went to this camping trip. Those kind of things, the possessions become tied more and more to experiences and different seasons of our lives. The box in the attic isn't just a storage box, it's full of memories. And when we start decluttering through some of this stuff, it's not like we're just sorting through stuff. It's just that we're sorting through memories. Another reason that it gets harder to declutter as we age is that we look at these items and we tie them to good money that we've spent on them. So I've had various times where I've spent a lot of money on things that were going to become a hobby. And I spent good money on that. And I've spoken before about how at one point in time I was doing candle sales a long, long, long time ago. Uh, I think well over 30 years ago. And I still have those things. And it's like, because they're tied to the amount of money that I've spent on them. But the fact is, that money's already gone. That money's been gone. That money is not going to come back, whether I get rid of the item or whether I keep it. That money is still gone. And even if I was to sell them, I'm still not going to get back what the actual money was that I put in them. Another reason is that because we've lived through so many different experiences as we age, we've lived through things like natural disasters, times when we have been in financial problems, times when we've had good financial stuff. So, when we've lived through all of those experiences, we have a tendency to keep things around just in case. And I do the same thing, I'll keep stuff around just in case I'll use it again, just in case this thing that I bought breaks and I can use this item to fix it. But a lot of times these just in case items just kind of accumulate and someday becomes never. I don't know how many times I look around and find that I've kept something around because someday I'm going to use it, but I've kept this thing around for like 10, 20 years, and this someday has never come, and then I totally forget what I even saved that item for, or if I was using it to fix another item, that item's already long gone. Overall, I think one of the reasons that it's hardest for us to declutter as we get older is because we're letting go of a prior version of ourselves. So that person that was going to learn this hobby or do this thing is no longer us. That person that's holding on to those old photos is no longer married. That person that wanted to do the thing is no longer what the person is now. And it's hard. It's hard to look at what we wanted to be in a former season of our life and say, I'm no longer that person. That's emotionally hard. If you have struggled to declutter because of some of these various reasons, it's not because you've failed, it's because you're human. We all are human on this planet, and we've all faced struggles of these sorts. The longer we live, the more meaning we've given to these things, the more experiences we've had, the more these seasons in our lives have changed. And understanding this has gotten me to be a little bit more kinder to myself when I'm trying to declutter. One of the things that I'm focusing on in this season of my life is not getting rid of everything, but holding on to things that actually create value in my life. So that means getting rid of things that are tied to guilt, getting rid of things that I have held on to out of obligation or out of fear, or thinking that someday I'm going to use this item, but someday never comes. And I've begun to realize that holding on to something just because it was something that mattered to me in a prior season of my life doesn't mean that it matters to me in this season of my life. And that's a big deal. And that way of thinking has gotten me to realize that it is harder to declutter as we age because life has become more richer, more experiences, more stories, and unfortunately, more stuff. The challenge isn't to get rid of all the stuff, it's to figure out what stuff matters most to you in this season of your life. I'd love to know what your experiences have been with this. Have you found that it's harder to declutter as you age? Are there particular categories that are harder as you age? Let me know in the comments below what your experiences have been. If you enjoy conversations about decluttering, frugal living, intentional spending, and simplifying life, I'd love to have you subscribe. Thank you for hanging out with me today. I'll see you in the next one.